WCBI News at 10 starts now.
People continue to protest and demand Lowndes County District 1 Supervisor Harry Sanders to resign. Thank you for joining us tonight at 10. At this morning's Lowndes County Board of Supervisors meeting, more than 10 pastors and other leaders were there asking for Sanders to step down. It was back in June when Sanders was quoted making racist remarks. Those remarks were said during an interview with a newspaper reporter. Since then, many in the community, including the NAACP, have been calling for Sanders to resign from the board entirely. He did step down as board president. The pastors called the statements, quote, hurtful, insensitive, and inaccurate. And they say his resignation as board president is not enough.
Repentance is not just the acknowledgement that our actions or our behavior has been wrong, but it's following that up with doing the right thing. The right thing would be for Mr. Sanders to resign immediately and to let the process of healing begin.
We live maybe 4 miles apart from one another, and for him to show his true nature truly says that a lot of people, myself included, have been deceived, but his true nature has now been shown. So he needs to do the right thing, and the right thing is for him to step down.
A group of protesters also gathered outside of the meeting calling for Sanders to resign. The Confederate Memorial at the Lee County Courthouse, it'll stay in place during the regular meeting of the Lee County Board of Supervisors this morning. Board President Tommy Lee Ivey made a motion to move the monument, but the motion didn't get a second, so there was no vote taken. Last month, supervisors were asked to move the monument by a group called Move It Again Lee County. There were people from both sides this morning expressing their thoughts on the future of the statue.
I think it sends a mixed signal. For one, it does give hope. So since they have not voted yet, that means that we can keep pushing, we can keep bringing this to the table until they absolutely make a vote. Two, I think I'm very disappointed in the supervisors for not showing any effort and for not having the courage to stand up and fight for what they believe.
Racism is in a heart. It's not in a monument. It's not in a flag. If you could change those people, if taking that monument down, if moving that monument would end racism today, I guarantee everyone in all the groups that represent that monument would be 100% for it.
The monument was put up in 1906 by the Sons of the Confederacy and the United Daughters of the Confederacy. It was originally at the intersection of Main and Broadway, but was moved in the mid-1930s to the courthouse. More than 2,000 entries were submitted for Mississippi's new state flag. The commission to redesign the Mississippi state flag released submissions today. Each commissioner will choose 25 flags by Friday. Then members will rank their top 10 choices. The list will then be whittled to 5 flags on August 14th. Once those banners are selected, the 5 flags will be placed on the Mississippi Department of Archives and History website for public comment. The final choice will be made on September 2nd. Then voters will give it an up or down vote in November. We tell you how to view more of the submissions over on our website, WCBI.com. A bit of good news tonight on the coronavirus front. The number of COVID-19 related hospitalizations has gone down. Now, here are the latest numbers from the Mississippi State Department of Health. Health officials report 572 new cases today, along with 8 deaths. There are 1,172 people in the hospital. Now that number, that was almost 1,300 last week. 302 patients are still in ICU. MSDH says 42,391 people are presumed to have recovered from the virus. This means there are about 17,000 active cases in the state. Lowndes County is now under a mask mandate after Governor Tate Reeves' latest executive order. Right now, out of all the states, Mississippi has the highest rate of positive COVID-19 tests in the U.S. Our Stephanie Poole talks with law enforcement on how they'll be enforcing the mask mandate.
Whenever customers come in, I make sure to check to see if they've got a mask on.
John Kemp is the assistant manager for Sunflower Food Store in Columbus. As dozens of customers enter to shop, he makes sure no one goes unmasked.
And if they don't, I ask them to please either go put a mask on or we have some for sale up front, just to make sure that, everybody's complying by, state and, federal rules and stuff.
Kemp says they must sanitize all areas every 2 hours and keep 6 feet distance between customers.
Most people just don't, feel comfortable right now with people just getting really close to them and then coming in without a mask on. They don't want to put one on. I'll ask them to leave the store, and if they decide they don't want to leave the store, then I'll pull my phone out and I'll call somebody, the police or somebody like that, and let them come up here and handle it.
However, Lowndes County Sheriff Eddie Hawkins says this will be a difficult task for his department.
That puts a big strain on my department and my deputies to enforce this. We have 5 deputies working on a shift at a time, answering calls back to back. So we're going to be answering these calls and doing what we can when we see a violation.
Hawkins says under the mandate statute 33-15-43, those who don't mask up will be fined.
That penalty can be up to $500 in fines and up to 6 months in jail if you're convicted of these ordinances.
That's why he's hoping citizens will abide by the rules to help protect those in the community.
It's going to be left up to the Sheriff's Department to go out and actively enforce these policies that are set in place by the governor. So we're asking everyone to use common sense. Put on a mask. Wear it when you're out in public and around other people to stop the spread of this virus, and maybe we can get a handle on things.
The order limits social gatherings to 10 people indoors and 20 people outdoors. Lowndes County will be under this mask mandate until August 17th unless the governor decides to extend it.
Well, up in Tupelo this evening in Lee County, we had a pretty good thunder shower move on through, a nice little downpour right there. We caught that with our Alpha Insurance camera there in downtown Tupelo. All quiet there right now. We still have a few blips on radar. A lot of this falling apart, but South Winona, west of Kosciuszko, that's really about it. But still can't rule out a little bit of light rain here tonight. Most spots, if not all spots, will remain dry. Down to 70 in Oxford, still 79 at the base, 76 in West Point. We're down into the 60s tonight, we think. Look at this, a trio of cuteness. Ollie, Brody, Benji right there. Variably cloudy for tomorrow morning. This is our first alert forecast, and it's going to be a great day. Summer-like weather, mid to upper 80s, maybe a spotty storm or two. Humidity levels coming down just a little bit. I'm back with your full forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, Keith, thanks so much. Hurricane Isaias is gaining strength as it churns toward the coast of the Carolinas. Tonight, nearly 120 million Americans are in the storm's path, with warnings stretching from South Carolina all the way to Maine. The storm is expected to make landfall around Myrtle Beach as a Category 1 hurricane before ripping up the East Coast tomorrow, bringing with it as much as 6 inches of rain, flooding, power outages, and damaging winds. Chip Reed reports.
Tonight, the Carolinas are bracing for impact. Isaias is just hours away. The dangerous storm lighting up the sky overnight with thousands of lightning bolts. Beneath the clouds, strong winds and high surf pounded the coasts of Florida and Georgia. But the bulk of the storm just swiped the coast of those 2 states and remained at sea. The Carolinas are not expected to be so lucky.
We're anticipating landfall in the North Carolina-South Carolina border tonight.
Drew Pearson is the Dare County, North Carolina Emergency Management Director.
What is the biggest concern?
Our biggest concern is storm surge. We have very low-lying areas. We've evacuated Hatteras Island down to our south.
And it's not just the coast. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper.
This storm will bring dangerous weather conditions to much of our state overnight. Heavy rains, flash floods, and storm surge can quickly inundate low-lying areas.
Chip Reed, CBS News.
All right, I'm going to send things over to Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson. Keith, it's actually already made landfall this
Just
evening.
made landfall over the last hour or so. Sustained wind at 85. There's been some very strong wind, and once again affecting Wilmington, North Carolina. They have been the magnet for several storms over the last couple of years, but that is nowhere near us. It's going to go to the north, into the northeast later tonight and tomorrow. Your full forecast is next.
Your WCBI First Alert AccuWeather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
It has been very wet for a good chunk of this year. We are now entering the driest stretch of the year. August, September, October traditionally are 3 driest months of any year. and it looks like we'll probably be on the drier side for the near term. But I want to just talk about last September. It was wet all year round until September, and then we had a major deficit, well below average, hardly any rain. We had burn bans. Could that happen this year? Well, we'll just wait and see, but we are on a similar path as far as the amount of rain we've had already, and we'll just see if the spigot gets turned off. And there may be a few isolated showers or storms tomorrow also as we get into the weekend with more humidity, but for the middle to end of the work week, things are looking pretty dry. We caught this dying shower here west and northwest of Columbus. That was way out in Clay County, but a great sunset in downtown Columbus. The blow off from that actually moved over into West Alabama. And if you see these little pouches on these anvil clouds, we call those mammatus clouds. Always neat to see, sometimes with very severe weather, sometimes with just a few passing showers like tonight. And also a great sunset here, another fantastic summer sunset. Still a few isolated blips on radar, but most of that now coming to an end. We are about 2 hours past sunset, and this is just some ground clutter here. But there still are some showers here in West Tennessee, parts of Arkansas. A lot of that is on the way out as well. So there's been a cold front coming on through here that usually helps to spin things up during the course of the daytime heating. Once we lose the sun, we lose a lot of the activity this time of year. Even with a front, there's some slightly drier air behind it, so our humidity levels come down a little bit, and that should support lows in the 60s later tonight. We'll have a string of lows nights in the 60s. We're back into the mid to upper 80s tomorrow. So that was Houston, and for the rest of the area, more in the way of mid to upper 80s across the region, perhaps in lower 80s in the far north, but a good chunk of the region mid to upper 80s. Futurecast tomorrow morning, pretty quiet. There could be some areas of fog if you got rain this evening. Again, some of you did get a pretty good downpour, but most spots probably will not have to contend with anything major. For tomorrow afternoon, just enough moisture left around to give rise to that opportunity for a stray shower or storm. Again, just a 20% chance there. And then as we roll on into the middle of the week, we're sitting pretty. Let's show you that AccuWeather 7-day forecast, and we've got decent weather here for the next couple of days, getting hot by the weekend. 80s for Tuesday, Wednesday, low 90s return Thursday, Friday, and the weekend, mid-90s, much more humidity. So enjoy these 60s for the overnights here for the next couple of nights, because we're back into the 70s for lows with all that muggy air by the weekend.
Well, it's always tough to find volunteers for small fire departments, but the situation is especially critical in Chickasaw County. Riley Martin has more on the shortage of volunteers and what it all means for the county.
All 8 fire departments in Chickasaw County are in desperate need of volunteers. It makes a big difference not only in response time to medical and fire calls, but also in insurance premiums for homeowners.
If you don't do it, who will?
That's the message Chickasaw County Fire Coordinator Jonathan Blankenship wants to get out. In his 20-plus years in the fire service, Blankenship says it's more difficult now than ever to recruit volunteer firefighters.
Volunteerism may be down all across the board, not just in the fire service, but we're definitely affected by it. People are so busy in today's world. They're working multiple jobs. They naturally want to spend time with their families.
Volunteer firefighters typically meet 2 or 3 times a month, and all training is provided. Bo Yateman is chief of the Woodland Volunteer Fire Department and says the volunteer shortage means several departments are dispatched to each call. Chief Yateman also says a well-staffed volunteer fire department can help homeowners save money on insurance premiums.
The lower your fire rating is, the lower your insurance. They go off of it. When you go and purchase homeowners insurance, they will look in your area and see what your fire rating is, and that determines how much you pay for your homeowners insurance. Well, the rating bureau, they look a lot toward, the equipment that you have at your station, how many manpower you have at your station, your response time.
Andy Harmon is chief of the Thorne Volunteer Fire Department. His department could use 8 to 10 volunteers during the day. They have 1 or 2 right now who can respond at a moment's notice. Chief Harmon says there are many opportunities for those willing to volunteer.
We need people of every caliber. We need folks to come help us with maintenance, firefighters, even ladies with the bake sales, would help us, and there's no greater reward than it is to help your fellow man. That's the motto of Thorne Fire Department, serve God and mankind.
Volunteer fire departments play a key role not only in this area but across the country. more than 75% of fire departments nationwide are manned by volunteers. In Houston, Allie Martin, WCBI News.
Now, if you live in Chickasaw County and you'd like to talk to someone about volunteering at one of the fire departments, you can call Jonathan Blankenship. His number there on your screen, 662-456-6237. Well, Keith said the heat and humidity coming back this weekend. Up next, Dr. Richardson shares the importance of staying hydrated. Health Talk with Baptist is right after the break.
You're watching WCBI News at 10 with Scott Martin.
Well, being out in the heat, it can be dangerous. Dehydration can happen in any age group if you don't drink enough water during the hot weather, especially if you're exercising vigorously. We learn more from Dr. Richardson in our Health Talk with Baptist.
Hi, I am Lee Richardson, a physician in the emergency room at Baptist Memorial Hospital, Golden Triangle. Tonight we will discuss dehydration. Dehydration occurs when you lose more fluid than you take in and your body doesn't have enough water and other fluids to carry out its normal functions. If you don't replace lost fluids, you may get dehydrated. We lose water every day in the form of water vapor, in the breath we exhale, and as water in our sweat, urine, and stool. Along with the water, small amounts of salt are also lost. When we lose too much water, our bodies may become out of balance or dehydrated. Severe dehydration can lead to death. Symptoms of dehydration include sleepiness or tiredness. Children are likely to be less active than usual. Extreme fussiness or sleepiness in infants and children. Irritability and confusion in adults. Thirst. Decreased urine output. No wet diapers for 3 hours for infants and 8 hours or more without urination for older children and teens. Few or no tears when crying. Dry skin. Headache. Constipation. Dizziness, lightheadedness, or fainting. Join us next time for Health Talk with Baptist when we will discuss the causes of dehydration.
Mail your topic suggestions to healthtalk@wcbi.com. Health Talk has been brought to you by Baptist Memorial Hospital, Golden Triangle.
The high school football tour continues with stop number 43, the Eupora Eagles. More on the Eagles in sports coming up next.
Here's WCBI Sports with Chris Bolton. WCBI Sports 2020 High School Football Tour is brought to you by Itawamba Community College, Cannon Ford of Starkville, Monroe County Farm Bureau, Max South Broadband, and the Bank of Vernon.
We ain't like we were last year. We're better this year, better, and we're going to come out strong.
2019 was a year of ups and downs for the Eupora Eagles. The team was able to win a postseason game, but ultimately finished the season with a 4-8 record. Heading into the 2020 season, Eupora is taking those lessons learned last year into now. Lesson number 1 being perseverance.
When bad things happen, I said sometimes that's human nature. You want to put your head down, and so we just got to find a way this year to overcome those things.
We struggled a lot, had a bunch of people talk bad about us, but it's going to be different this year.
Not listening to outside talking. You know, we need to listen to ourselves and boost ourselves up instead of listening to other people.
A point of emphasis that the team has echoed is carrying the right attitude into the season.
There's things there. If you keep fighting when good things or when bad things happen, good things can happen to you. And again, that's what I told these kids that are back.
Mainly just attitude. Change our attitude. Can't nobody beat us.
We all just have better positive attitudes. We're more uplifting of each other, and we work more as a family this year.
A lot of young guys that are just coming to workouts, and that means a lot, like to us seniors, seeing all the younger guys being here and be up in their attitude.
With those younger players coming to workouts, head coach Stephen Edwards feels confident about what they add to the roster this season.
We've got more depth this year, and so, you know, if one kid doesn't work out somewhere, we've got another guy to put in, and last year I felt like we were lacking on depth.
Added depth and an improved mentality will be key in the Eagles' quest to compete for the division crown, a region that's traditionally produced contenders.
And you can see our division champ, other than last year, I think played for the state championship probably the last 5 or 6 years. And I just think if you win a division, it just sets you up for that third season, which is playoffs.
The Eagles kick off the regular season at French Camp September 4th. With Eupora on the high school football tour, Chris Bolton, WCBI Sports.
WCBI Sports 2020 High School Football Tour with Eupora High School is brought to you by Bank of Kilmichael, CB&S Bank of Eupora, Evergreen Ag, State Farm Agent Bert Parrish, and Kane Clinton.
Hey, check this out. Ashley Furniture is investing $22 million in creating jobs in North Mississippi. The company is expanding its operations in Verona and Saltillo. There will be a $13 million building addition in Verona and 30 new jobs. And in Saltillo, the facility there will see a $9 million upgrade as well as 100 new jobs. The Mississippi Development Authority, Lee County, and the Tennessee Valley Authority are providing assistance for these expansions.
$22 million and 130 new jobs in the middle of the COVID-19 crisis is a tremendous good news for the county. It'll provide jobs both in the Saltillo area and the Verona area, expanding their mattress facility, expanding their capability, and of course across the nation, furniture is doing very well during this period of time.
Exciting stuff. Now the company plans to fill the 130 jobs by the spring of 2021. Ashley Furniture employs more than 3,000 workers throughout North Mississippi.
And in the weather department, we may see a storm or two tomorrow. Highs in the 80s, and then we're back into the 90s for this weekend. It's relatively comfortable, I guess you could say, Scott, right now.
Totally say
compared
that.
to the mid to upper 90s, but that humidity will be coming on back.
You walk outside and
it doesn't
cool.
beat you down.
Yes, it doesn't. You don't want to pass out or anything.
Not right now, no.
Thanks, Keith. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.